scratch! I fell right over there!
Accidents happen, Sophia. But look, you were brave, and now you're okay.
It was a bright and sunny morning in the castle, and Sophia felt full of energy. She had woken up early, excited to spend the day playing in the beautiful castle gardens. The flowers were in full bloom, and the colorful butterflies fluttered in the warm sunlight. Clover, her faithful rabbit friend, hopped happily beside her as she ran along the winding paths. Sophia's friends had come to visit, and laughter filled the air as the children played tag, chased each other around the fountains, and enjoyed the fresh morning breeze. Everything felt perfect, and Sophia's heart was light and cheerful. Sophia loved playing outside, especially when the sun was shining and the castle grounds were alive with the sounds of birds and laughter. She ran with all her might, her long hair bouncing with every step, and Clover tried his best to keep up. She felt the wind rushing past her face and the warmth of the sun on her shoulders, and for a moment she felt as free as the birds flying overhead. Sophia didn't want the fun to end, and she ran faster, giggling, weaving between trees, and jumping over the small flower beds with care. The castle garden had always been a place of joy and adventure for her, and today felt even more magical. But in her excitement, Sophia didn't notice the small stone sticking out of the path. As she ran, her foot caught on the stone and she stumbled forward. She tried to catch herself, but it was too late. She tumbled onto the soft grass and felt a sharp sting in her knee. Sophia cried out softly, surprised and hurt. Clover immediately hopped over to her, nuzzling her gently and trying to comfort her. She touched her knee and saw a small but painful scratch, with tiny drops of blood beginning to appear. "Oh no," Sophia whispered, feeling both pain and worry. Her day of fun suddenly felt ruined and she didn't know what to do. Sophia tried to sit up slowly, wincing as her knee throbbed. She looked around and saw her friends stopping in their tracks, their faces filled with concern. "Sophia, are you okay?" one of them called out. Sophia forced a small smile, not wanting them to worry too much. "Oh, I'll be fine," she said softly, though her voice trembled slightly. Clover stayed close, hopping from one side to the other, trying to keep her spirits up. Sophia's heart was racing, not only from the pain but also because she knew Amber might see her and get upset. Amber was her older friend and cousin, who always talked about how princesses should behave properly. Sophia worried that Amber would be disappointed in her for tripping and hurting herself while playing. As Sophia gently touched the scratch, she realized it wasn't very deep, but it was enough to make her knee sting and make her feel uncomfortable. She tried to clean the small wound with her handkerchief, but it wasn't very easy. Tears threatened to spill from her eyes, not only from the pain but from embarrassment as well. She remembered Amber's words from past lessons about how princesses should always be graceful, careful, and perfect. Sophia had always admired Amber and wanted to be like her, but now she felt a little nervous. What would Amber say? Would she scold her for falling and scratching her knee? Just then Amber appeared, walking briskly through the garden. Her eyes widened when she saw Sophia sitting on the grass, holding her injured knee. "Sophia, what happened?" Amber exclaimed, hurrying closer. She looked concerned but also slightly shocked. "Your knee, it's scratched." "Princesses don't scratch their knees," Amber said, her voice a little sharp. Sophia felt her cheeks turn pink with embarrassment. She had expected Amber to come running, but not to scold her. Clover nuzzled her hand gently, trying to reassure her that everything would be okay, but Sophia still felt nervous. Sophia looked up at Amber and tried to explain herself softly. I was just playing and I tripped," she said politely. "I didn't mean to hurt myself." Clover hopped closer, sitting beside her, sensing her worry and offering comfort. Sophia could feel the pain in her knee, but she also felt a little proud of herself for speaking politely to Amber. She knew that staying calm and respectful was important, even when she was hurt and a little scared. Amber frowned slightly, her eyes narrowing as she looked at Sophia's knee. "Sophia, you know princesses should be careful. We don't scratch our knees or get hurt while playing. We must always behave properly and avoid accidents," Amber said, sounding firm but also a little caring. Sophia listened quietly, nodding her head, though inside she felt a mix of emotions. She understood Amber's viewpoint, but she also knew that sometimes accidents happen, and that being a princess didn't mean she could never get hurt. Sophia took a deep breath and tried to gather her courage. She looked at Amber and Clover and decided it was time to explain her feelings. "Amber," she said softly but confidently, "I know princesses are supposed to be careful and I try my best. But sometimes even princesses can fall or get hurt. Scratching my knee doesn't make me any less of a princess. It's okay to have small accidents." She lifted her leg slightly, showing Amber the small scratch on her knee. "See? It's just a little scratch and I'm going to take care of it. Amber blinked, surprised at Sofia's calm and polite explanation. She hadn't expected Sofia to speak so confidently and respectfully. Clover hopped around happily, sensing that the tension was easing. Sofia continued, "Being a princess doesn't mean we never get hurt. It means we try to be brave, take care of ourselves and be kind to others, even when something goes wrong." Sofia smiled softly, hoping Amber would understand. She felt proud of herself for standing up for her point of view while still being polite and respectful. For a few moments there was silence in the garden. The wind rustled the leaves and birds chirped nearby, but it felt like time had slowed as Amber looked at Sofia and her knee. Sofia waited patiently, Clover sitting close by her side, offering gentle support. Finally Amber's frown softened and she nodded slowly. "You're right, Sofia," Amber said after a moment. "Even princesses can have accidents. Thank you for explaining it so politely. I understand now." Sofia felt a wave of relief and happiness. Clover hopped onto her lap and she hugged him, smiling brightly. Sofia's friends came closer, offering to help clean her scratch and bandage it. With Amber's guidance, they gently washed the small wound, applied a soft bandage and made sure Sofia was comfortable. Clover sat nearby, watching carefully, and Sofia felt the warmth of friendship, love and care surrounding her. Even though she had been hurt, the support of her friends, family, and Clover made her feel strong and brave. Sofia realized that accidents happen, but how you handle them, with patience, kindness and respect, was what really mattered. As the sun continued to shine over the castle gardens, Sofia sat surrounded by her friends, Clover and Amber, feeling safe and cared for. Her knee throbbed a little, but it didn't hurt as much now. She had learned an important lesson that day. Accidents don't make anyone less special, and even princesses can get hurt sometimes. What mattered was being brave, polite, and taking care of yourself while showing understanding to others. Clover purred softly at her side, and Sofia smiled, feeling stronger and wiser. The day continued with laughter, gentle play, and moments of learning. Sofia moved carefully, but she didn't let the small scratch stop her from enjoying the beautiful day with her friends. Amber stayed close, watching over her, and the two cousins shared quiet smiles, understanding each other better than before. Clover hopped around happily, reminding everyone that even small companions can bring great comfort and joy. By the end of the day, Sofia had fully understood that being a princess didn't mean never getting hurt. It meant handling challenges with courage, patience, and politeness. Her knee was bandaged, her spirit was bright, and her heart was full of gratitude for her friends, family, and Clover. That small accident had become a lesson in bravery, respect, and understanding, and Sofia felt proud of how she had handled it. After the small accident in the garden, Amber stayed close to Sofia, looking concerned but also a little serious. She had always been careful about how a princess should behave, and seeing Sofia with a scraped knee worried her more than she expected. "Sofia," Amber said firmly, "you know princesses should never get hurt while playing. Scratches and falls are not something we do. We must always be careful, graceful, and careful with our actions." Sofia listened quietly, her heart sinking a little. She didn't want Amber to be disappointed in her, but she also felt that accidents happen to everyone, even princesses. Sofia touched her knee gently, feeling the sting of the small scratch. Clover hopped up onto the grass beside her, sensing her worry and trying to offer comfort. "I know, Amber," Sofia said softly. "I didn't mean to get hurt. I was just playing and I tripped. I'm very careful most of the time." Amber crossed her arms, looking at Sofia with a mixture of concern and expectation. She wanted Sofia to understand that as a princess, she should always behave properly, even while having fun. Amber's voice was gentle but firm. "Sofia, it's important to remember that princesses don't scratch their knees or fall while playing. We are always expected to act gracefully and carefully, no matter what we are doing. Even small accidents can look careless, and that is not what a princess should do." Sofia nodded slowly, understanding that Amber was trying to teach her something important. She could see the love and care behind Amber's words, even if they sounded a little strict. Clover nuzzled her hand, reminding Sofia that she wasn't alone, and giving her courage to speak. Sofia took a deep breath, thinking about how to respond politely. She wanted Amber to understand that it was okay to have small accidents and that being a princess didn't mean never getting hurt. "Amber," Sofia said softly, "I understand what you are saying. I want to be careful and graceful like you always are. But sometimes even princesses can have little accidents. Tripping or scratching a knee doesn't make someone less of a princess. It just means we are human too." She looked at Amber with gentle eyes, hoping she would understand her point of view. Amber frowned slightly, still unsure. Sofia, I see what you mean, but a princess must always be perfect. If we fall or get hurt, it can look careless and people might think we are not responsible. Sofia listened carefully and nodded. I understand, Amber, she said softly, but being a princess doesn't mean being perfect all the time. It means being brave, polite, and kind, even if we make mistakes or get a little hurt. Clover hopped up to Sofia's lap, purring softly as if to encourage her to keep speaking. Sofia continued, speaking politely but with confidence. Amber, look at my knee. It's just a small scratch. I was playing and I tripped, but I am taking care of it. I think it's okay for princesses to get little scratches sometimes. What matters is that we handle them calmly and politely. She held out her leg slightly to show Amber the small, carefully cleaned scratch on her knee. Clover nuzzled her hand, offering support as Sofia spoke with courage and respect. Amber looked at the small scratch, then back at Sofia. She could see that Sofia was not trying to be careless or disobedient. Instead, Sofia was explaining her feelings in a polite and respectful way. Clover's soft purring added a sense of calm to the garden, making the tension ease slightly. Amber sighed, realizing that Sofia had a point. Even though princesses are expected to be careful and graceful, accidents are a part of life, and handling them politely was also important. Sofia noticed the change in Amber's expression and felt a little more confident. She smiled softly and continued, Amber, I respect what you teach me about being careful and graceful. I always try to follow your example. But I also think it's important to remember that princesses are not perfect all the time. We can have little accidents and that's okay. We can still be kind, polite, and responsible even if we get a small scratch. Clover hopped closer to Sofia's side, curling up near her, showing his quiet support. Amber slowly nodded, a small smile appearing on her face. You're right, Sofia, she said gently. Even princesses can get small accidents. What matters is how we handle them and how we care for ourselves and others. I see that you are being very polite and responsible about your knee. I think that is very important. Sofia's heart lifted at Amber's words. She felt proud of herself for explaining her thoughts politely and clearly. She had learned that speaking calmly and respectfully could help others understand her point of view, even if it was different from theirs. Sofia's friends, who had been watching quietly, came closer and smiled. Sofia, you were very brave, one of them said. It's okay to have little accidents. You handled it so politely. Sofia felt her cheeks flush with happiness. Clover hopped around playfully, sensing the positive energy and adding to the cheerful mood. Sofia realized that accidents were normal and that her friends and family appreciated how she handled them. Amber placed a hand on Sofia's shoulder and said softly, I understand now, Sofia. I will try to remember that princesses are human too, and that small accidents don't make anyone less special. You have shown me how important it is to handle mistakes politely and responsibly. Sofia smiled, feeling relief and joy. She had not only learned to stand up for herself politely but also helped Amber understand a different perspective. With Clover hopping around happily and her friends cheering her gently, Sofia felt a new sense of confidence. She understood that being a princess meant being brave, polite, and kind, even when things don't go perfectly. She could play, have fun, and sometimes get small scratches and still be a responsible and caring princess. Amber smiled at her, and they shared a quiet moment of understanding. Sofia's knee was gently cleaned and bandaged by her friends and Amber. Clover stayed close, offering comfort and encouragement. Sofia felt grateful for their care and the lessons she had learned. The small scratch on her knee had become a way for her to practice patience, politeness, and courage. She realized that accidents happen to everyone, and what mattered most was how she handled them. By the end of the day, Sofia felt proud of herself. She had explained her point of view to Amber politely, learned to accept care for her injury, and discovered the importance of understanding and patience. Clover hopped around joyfully, her friends played safely nearby, and the garden was filled with laughter once more. Sofia smiled, knowing that even small accidents could teach big lessons about courage, respect, and kindness. The sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow across the castle gardens. Sofia, Clover, Amber, and her friends sat together, enjoying the peaceful evening. Sofia's knee was slightly sore but healing, and her heart felt light and happy. She had learned that being polite, confident, and respectful could help solve problems and ease misunderstandings. Clover purred softly, and Sofia hugged him tightly, feeling comforted and grateful. The next morning, Sofia woke up feeling a little better, although her knee still throbbed softly from the small scratch. Clover hopped onto her bed as usual, nudging her gently with his nose, making her giggle. "Good morning, Clover," Sofia whispered. "I think my knee feels a tiny bit better today." Even though she was still sore, she felt more confident because she had explained her feelings to Amber the day before. She knew that being polite, calm, and respectful could help her solve problems, and now she wanted to continue showing Amber that accidents didn't make her any less of a princess. After breakfast, Sofia decided it was time to show Amber her knee again. She wanted to make sure Amber truly understood that princesses could have accidents and that it was okay. Clover hopped happily beside her as she carefully walked to the garden where Amber was reading a book under a big tree. Sofia approached slowly, her small bandage visible on her knee. "Amber," she said softly, "may I show you something?" Amber looked up and smiled faintly. "Of course, Sofia. What is it?" Sofia took a deep breath and gently lifted the hem of her dress to show her knee. The small scratch was clean but still a little red. "See, Amber?" Sofia said politely. "This is the scratch I got yesterday while playing. I tripped, but I took care of it and I am being careful now. I wanted to show you because I think it's important that you understand that even princesses can have little accidents sometimes." Clover hopped closer, resting his head on Sofia's lap as if giving her moral support. Sofia smiled softly at him and continued speaking. "Being a princess doesn't mean we can never get hurt. It means we try to be brave, polite, and careful even when something goes wrong." Amber studied the small scratch on Sofia's knee and then looked into Sofia's eyes. She could see the honesty and respect in her cousin's expression. Amber had always believed that princesses must be perfect, always graceful and careful, but now she was beginning to see a different perspective. Sofia wasn't careless, she was responsible. She had cleaned her wound, applied a bandage, and politely explained her point of view. Clover's soft purring added a calming feeling to the garden, and Amber felt her heart soften. Sofia continued, speaking confidently but politely. "Amber, I know you want me to be careful and graceful, and I always try my best. But sometimes, even when we are careful, accidents happen. Scratching a knee or tripping doesn't make anyone less of a princess. It just means we are human too, and it's okay to make small mistakes." Clover nudged her hand as if to say, "You're doing great," and Sofia smiled, feeling braver. She could see Amber listening carefully, her frown slowly turning into a thoughtful expression. Amber sighed and set her book aside. "Sofia," she said slowly, "I see what you mean. I want you to be careful and graceful, but you are right. Accidents can happen, and they don't make anyone less special. I think I've been too strict about how princesses should behave. You have shown me that it's okay to have small accidents, as long as we handle them responsibly." Sofia felt a wave of relief and happiness. She had been worried about Amber's reaction, but now she felt proud of herself for speaking politely and clearly. Clover hopped onto her lap and she hugged him tightly. Sofia's friends, who had been playing nearby, noticed the peaceful conversation and came closer. "Sofia, your knee looks much better," one of them said cheerfully. "And Amber, it's okay to have little accidents. We all make mistakes sometimes." Sofia smiled at her friends, feeling the warmth of their support. Clover hopped among them, making playful movements that made everyone laugh. The garden felt joyful again, filled with laughter, friendship, and understanding. Sofia gently explained to Amber how she had taken care of her knee after the fall. She had cleaned it, applied antiseptic, and put on a soft bandage. "Amber," she said softly, "taking care of ourselves when we get hurt is just as important as being careful. Princesses can make mistakes, but we also need to know how to fix them and learn from them. That's what makes us responsible and brave." Amber listened intently, nodding as she absorbed Sofia's words. She began to realize that being a princess wasn't just about looking perfect. It was also about handling life's little accidents with grace and courage. Clover hopped up and twirled around Sofia's legs, making playful little jumps. Sofia laughed, feeling the tension of the past 2 days melt away. Amber smiled too, watching Clover's playful antics. "I think I understand now," Amber said gently. "A princess can get little scratches or bumps, but what matters is how we respond. Being brave, polite, and careful, that is what truly matters." Sofia's eyes brightened, and she felt proud that her message had been understood. Together, Sofia and Amber cleaned the small scratch on Sofia's knee one more time, making sure it was safe and comfortable. Clover stayed close, watching carefully, and Sofia's friends helped too, offering bandages and encouragement. The small accident that had caused worry and embarrassment was now turning into a moment of learning, understanding, and friendship. Sofia realized that accidents could teach valuable lessons about patience, politeness, and problem-solving. Sofia smiled at Amber and said softly, "Thank you for listening to me, Amber. I feel happy that you understand. I wanted to show you that being a princess doesn't mean never getting hurt. It means being brave and kind even when we face little problems. Amber nodded and smiled warmly. Thank you, Sofia. You have taught me something important too. Even princesses are human, and it's okay to have small accidents. What matters is how we act afterward. The rest of the day was filled with gentle play, laughter, and friendship. Sofia moved carefully but confidently, knowing she was supported by her family, friends, and Clover. The small scratch on her knee was no longer a source of worry. It was a reminder of the lesson she had learned about courage, responsibility, and speaking politely. Clover hopped around happily, adding joy and lightness to the day. Sofia felt proud of herself and grateful for the understanding that had grown between her and Amber. By the evening, Sofia's knee was comfortable and her spirits were high. She reflected on the day's events and realized that mistakes and accidents were a normal part of life. What mattered most was responding with patience, respect, and responsibility. Clover curled up beside her, purring softly, and Sofia hugged him tightly. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that Amber now understood that princesses could handle little accidents gracefully and politely. The sun began to set over the castle gardens, casting a warm golden glow. Sofia, Clover, Amber, and their friends sat together, enjoying the calm evening. Sofia's small scratch had become more than just an accident. It had become a way to learn about courage, politeness, understanding, and the value of clear communication. Clover purred happily and Sofia smiled, feeling content and proud of how she had handled everything. The next morning, the sun shone brightly over the castle gardens, casting warm golden light across the flowers and trees. Sofia woke up feeling a little stronger and more confident. Her knee, though still tender, was healing well and she could move more easily than before. Clover hopped onto her bed, nudging her gently as he always did, and Sofia laughed softly. "Good morning, Clover," she whispered, stroking his soft fur. She felt ready to continue the day with bravery and care, knowing that accidents could happen but that they could also be handled thoughtfully and politely. After breakfast, Sofia decided to spend time with Amber again, wanting to fully explain her feelings and help Amber understand her perspective. Clover hopped happily alongside her as she walked to the garden where Amber was already tending to some flowers. Amber looked up and smiled faintly, her expression softening when she saw Sofia approaching carefully. "Good morning, Sofia," Amber said warmly. "How is your knee today?" Sofia lifted her dress slightly to show the bandage, smiling softly. "It feels better, Amber," she said. "I wanted to talk more about yesterday so you understand why it's okay for princesses to sometimes have small accidents." Amber nodded, placing her hands on her hips thoughtfully. "Sofia, I still think princesses should be careful and graceful, but I'm listening. Tell me more." Sofia took a deep breath and spoke politely, her voice calm and confident. "Amber, I know you want me to be careful and I always try my best. But accidents happen even when we are careful. Scratches and little bumps are part of life. Being a princess doesn't mean never getting hurt. It means being brave, polite, and responsible even when we face problems." Clover hopped around playfully, sensing Sofia's determination, and Sofia smiled at his encouragement. Amber watched Sofia closely, seeing the sincerity in her eyes. "I understand what you are saying," Amber said slowly. "I know you didn't mean to hurt yourself and I see that you took care of your knee responsibly. But as a princess, it's important to think about our actions and try to avoid accidents whenever possible." Sofia nodded politely. "I agree, Amber. We should always be careful, but we should also understand that accidents can happen. What matters is how we respond, how we care for ourselves, and how we speak politely to others about it." Clover nuzzled her hand and Sofia felt her confidence grow. Sofia decided to show Amber that being a princess included kindness and responsibility, even in unexpected situations. She carefully removed the small bandage, revealing the scratch underneath. "Look, Amber," she said softly. "I cleaned it and it's healing well. I wanted to show you because I want you to understand that being careful is important, but accidents don't make anyone less of a princess. What matters is how we handle them." Amber leaned closer, examining the small scratch, and Sofia continued, "We can play, have fun, and still be polite and responsible even if we get a little hurt. That's part of being brave." Amber's expression softened even more and she knelt beside Sofia. "Sofia, I see now. You are right. Even princesses are human. It's okay to have small accidents. What really matters is how we act afterward, with courage, politeness, and care. You have shown me that clearly." Sofia smiled brightly, feeling proud of herself for speaking respectfully and confidently. Clover hopped onto her lap, purring softly as if celebrating her success. Sofia gently stroked his fur, feeling warmth and happiness spread through her heart. Sofia's friends, who had been watching from nearby, came closer with smiles. "Sofia, your knee looks much better," one of them said cheerfully. "And Amber, it's okay to have little accidents. We all make mistakes sometimes." Sofia laughed softly, feeling the joy of friendship surround her. Clover hopped happily among them, bringing lightness and playfulness to the moment. The garden, filled with flowers, sunlight, and gentle breezes, became a place of learning, understanding, and happiness. Amber smiled at Sofia and said gently, "I think I've learned an important lesson today. Princesses are expected to be careful, but accidents happen. What matters is how we respond to them, how we care for ourselves, and how we treat others with politeness and respect. Sofia, you have shown me that it's possible to be brave, responsible, and polite, even when mistakes happen." Sofia felt a sense of pride and relief. She had been worried about Amber's reaction, but now she realized that her polite explanation had helped Amber understand a new perspective. Sofia carefully explained how she had cleaned her scratch, applied medicine, and gently bandaged it. "Amber," she said softly, "taking care of ourselves when we get hurt is very important. Princesses can make small mistakes, but handling them responsibly shows courage and wisdom. That's what truly makes a princess." Clover hopped onto her shoulder, adding a playful nuzzle that made both Sofia and Amber laugh. The atmosphere became light and cheerful, full of warmth and understanding. Amber nodded thoughtfully. "You are right, Sofia. Being a princess is not about being perfect. It's about being brave, kind, and polite, and about handling problems responsibly. You have taught me an important lesson today. I will remember that even when accidents happen, we can respond with care and respect." Sofia smiled, feeling the bond between them strengthen. Clover hopped around joyfully, celebrating the harmony and understanding between the two cousins. Sofia and Amber spent the rest of the day carefully playing together, laughing and sharing gentle moments of fun. They ran slowly around the garden, mindful of Sofia's healing knee, and Clover hopped along happily, adding playfulness to their activities. Sofia felt strong, confident, and happy. Her knee was healing well, and she had learned that polite communication, patience, and courage were just as important as carefulness and grace. By the evening, Sofia's knee was comfortable and her spirit was high. She reflected on the day's events and realized that accidents didn't define her. What mattered most was how she handled challenges, with kindness, respect, and responsibility. Clover curled up beside her, purring softly, and Sofia hugged him tightly. She felt a sense of peace, knowing that Amber now fully understood that even princesses could handle small accidents gracefully. As the sun set, casting warm golden light over the garden, Sofia, Amber, Clover, and their friends sat together, enjoying the calm evening. Sofia's small scratch had become a lesson in bravery, politeness, and understanding. She knew that accidents could teach important lessons about patience, responsibility, and communication. Clover purred contentedly and Sofia smiled, feeling proud of how she had spoken, explained, and acted throughout the day. The night fell softly over the castle, and Sofia felt grateful for the care of her family, friends, and Clover. She had learned that being a princess was about more than being careful. It was about handling problems politely, standing up for oneself respectfully, and showing kindness to others. Clover nestled against her, and Sofia felt comforted and happy. The lesson of the scratch on her knee had transformed into a meaningful experience, one that she would remember forever. The morning sun poured gently into the castle garden, casting soft golden light on the flowers, trees, and sparkling fountains. Sofia woke up feeling refreshed and ready for a new day, although her knee still had a small red mark from yesterday's accident. Clover hopped onto her bed, nudging her gently as always, and Sofia giggled. "Good morning, Clover," she whispered, stroking his soft fur. She felt happy and confident because she had learned so much over the past 2 days about accidents, bravery, and politeness. Her knee was healing, and she knew that with care, patience, and understanding, everything would be fine. After breakfast, Sofia decided to spend time with Amber once again. She wanted to make sure that the bond between them was stronger than ever and that Amber truly understood the lessons they had both learned. Clover hopped happily beside her as she carefully walked to the garden where Amber was arranging flowers in neat little rows. Amber looked up and smiled warmly when she saw Sofia approach. "Good morning, Sofia," she said. "How is your knee today?" Sofia lifted her dress slightly to show the small bandage. "It's feeling much better, Amber. Thank you for helping me yesterday." Clover hopped around her feet, adding his playful energy to the cheerful morning. Sofia spoke gently, wanting to make sure Amber fully understood her feelings. Amber, I wanted to tell you again that even princesses can have accidents sometimes. Yesterday, I tripped and scratched my knee and I was worried you might be upset. But Clover and my friends helped me and you listened to me politely when I explained. I feel proud because I could explain myself and show that accidents can happen without making anyone less special. Amber listened carefully, nodding as Sofia spoke. She realized that Sofia had grown braver and more confident in handling small problems. Amber smiled softly. Sofia, I've learned so much from you, she said. You were very polite, calm, and respectful when you explained yourself. Even though I worry about accidents, I see now that it's okay for princesses to sometimes get hurt. What matters most is how we act after an accident, being brave, polite, and responsible. Sofia's heart lifted at Amber's words. She felt proud of herself for standing up for her point of view politely and helping Amber understand a new perspective. Clover hopped onto her lap, purring softly, and Sofia hugged him tightly. Sofia carefully removed the small bandage from her knee to show Amber again, smiling. Look, Amber, she said softly. It's healing nicely. I wanted you to see that accidents don't last forever. We can take care of ourselves, be careful, and still enjoy our day. Being a princess isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave, polite, and kind. Clover nuzzled her hand as if agreeing, and Amber nodded thoughtfully. You are right, Sofia. I see that being a princess is about courage, kindness, and respect, not just about being careful all the time. Sofia's friends, who had been playing nearby, noticed the calm and cheerful conversation and came over. Sofia, your knee looks much better, one said, smiling. And Amber, it's okay to have little accidents. We all make mistakes sometimes and we can still have fun. Sofia laughed softly, feeling the joy and warmth of friendship surround her. Clover hopped around playfully, adding energy and laughter to the garden. The soft breeze carried the sound of giggles, creating a peaceful and happy atmosphere. Sofia and Amber decided to play a gentle game together in the garden. They ran slowly, careful of Sofia's knee, and laughed at Clover's funny antics. The small accident that had caused worry and tension had now turned into a moment of understanding, learning, and joy. Sofia realized that mistakes and accidents were part of life, but handling them with politeness, bravery, and care made all the difference. Amber, seeing Sofia's courage and politeness, felt proud of her cousin and the lessons she had learned. Sofia spoke again, softly but confidently. Amber, thank you for listening to me and understanding. I wanted to show you that even princesses can have little accidents and that it's okay. We can still be polite, responsible, and kind, and that's what really matters. Amber smiled warmly, placing a hand on Sofia's shoulder. Sofia, you have taught me something important. Accidents happen to everyone, even princesses. What matters is how we respond, with courage, politeness, and care. I will remember this lesson forever. Clover hopped happily, sensing the joy and harmony between them. The day continued with laughter, gentle play, and friendship. Sofia's knee was now fully protected and healing nicely, and she moved confidently without pain. Amber stayed close, guiding her when needed, and their bond grew stronger than ever. Clover hopped around joyfully, chasing butterflies and bringing smiles to everyone in the garden. Sofia felt proud of herself, not only because her knee was healing, but because she had handled the situation politely and responsibly. She realized that standing up for herself and explaining things clearly could help others understand her point of view. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, Sofia, Amber, Clover, and their friends sat together on a soft patch of grass. They watched the gentle breeze move through the flowers and listened to the birds singing their evening songs. Sofia reflected on everything that had happened. She had learned that accidents are a natural part of life, and being a princess doesn't mean never getting hurt. It means being brave, kind, polite, and responsible. Clover curled up next to her, and she hugged him tightly, feeling comforted and happy. Amber looked at Sofia with pride and affection. Sofia, I am very proud of you, she said softly. You have shown me that accidents can happen, and that what matters most is how we respond. You were polite, brave, and responsible, and that is what makes a true princess. Sofia's cheeks flushed with happiness and she smiled brightly. Clover hopped onto her lap, nuzzling her hand, and Sofia felt a deep sense of warmth and joy. As the evening grew calm, the children played gently, learning from the experience of the past 2 days. Sofia's small scratch had become a lesson in bravery, politeness, understanding, and patience. She had learned to care for herself, explain her feelings respectfully, and show kindness even when things didn't go perfectly. Amber had learned that even princesses can have small accidents and that understanding and patience were just as important as carefulness and grace. By the end of the day, Sofia felt proud, happy, and safe. Her knee was healing, her friends were joyful, and Clover stayed close, purring softly. The garden was filled with laughter, understanding, and love. Sofia knew that the lessons she had learned about courage, politeness, and respect would stay with her forever. She hugged Clover one last time for the day, feeling grateful for his support, and smiled at Amber and her friends. Together, they had turned a small accident into a meaningful lesson, filled with care, kindness, and happiness. Sofia realized that being a princess wasn't about never making mistakes. It was about facing problems bravely, explaining herself politely, and treating others with kindness. Clover hopped onto her shoulder, and Sofia giggled. She knew that no matter what happened, she could handle it with courage and respect. Amber nodded beside her, smiling proudly. The small scratch on her knee had taught them both a big lesson, and the bond between them had grown even stronger. As night fell over the castle, Sofia felt peaceful and happy. She had learned about accidents, politeness, bravery, and kindness. Clover snuggled beside her, and Sofia whispered softly, "Thank you, Clover, for always being here for me." She felt proud of herself, proud of how she had handled the situation, and grateful for the love and care around her. The lesson of her knee scratch would remain in her heart forever, reminding her that even when accidents happen, courage, politeness, and care are what make a princess truly special.